y'all, welcome back to my kitchen. Today is the very first Super Sunday and we're going to be making some delicious clam chowder. And along with that, we're gonna make some homemade crusty French bread. So let's get busy. First, what we need to do is to proof our yeast. So we have 1 1/3 cups of warm water, and that water needs to be right around 110 degrees. So let's see what we have here. Okay, 110.3. Turn that off. We're gonna put that in your mixing bowl. And then along with that, you want 2 1/4 teaspoons, not tablespoons, teaspoons of active dry yeast. And then we're going to feed the yeast. So we're going to add in, let's see, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. All right, so we are going to give that a little stir. Mix it together well. And then wait for it to proof, and you'll know that it has proofed when it's got a layer of bubbles or like a foam looking stuff on the top of it. So it takes about 10 minutes maybe.
To the yeast mixture, you want to add 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt and 1 1/2 teaspoons of olive oil. Now, using the mixer with the dough hook attachment, we're going to start incorporating in the flour. We're just going to continue mixing until all of the ingredients are well incorporated. And when that happens, you'll start to see the dough pulling away from the bowl as it forms a ball. As you can see, the dough has completely pulled away from the bowl and is forming itself into a ball. We're just going to continue kneading this for about 6 minutes.
Okay, it's been about 6 minutes now. It looks about right, so let's turn the mixer off. Let me kind of get a feel for it here and see how it's feeling. It's got a nice soft texture to it. So what we're gonna do is get all that off the dough hook first, and then I'm gonna cover it and put it in my microwave to rise. Okay, I've set my timer for 30 minutes. That's about all it should take, and it should double in size in that time. So while we're waiting on that, let's get busy making some soup. Let's get started on the clam chowder. What you're gonna need first is 5 slices of bacon, and you're gonna just chop that up. Okay, so I'm gonna wash my hands and grab a pot from the cabinet, and we'll meet back over at the stove to put this bacon on. Okay, so I put the stock pot on medium-high heat, and we're just gonna add all this bacon to that. And you wanna cook it until it is crispy. So while that bacon is getting crispy, it's time to chop your onion. And you just wanna do like a pretty fine dice on that. Not sure if you can hear that bacon cooking. Already it's starting to sizzle. Okay, got the onion diced up. The next thing we need to do is peel our russet potatoes. So I have 3 that are smallish, medium size-ish. We're gonna just peel and dice all 3 of those. Actually, let's go get the steak in the stir. That is starting to smell so good. Okay, so potatoes. You can use other kinds of potatoes. You can use red potatoes or gold Yukon, whatever you want. I like russet potatoes, and also I like them pretty finely diced. I don't like huge chunks of potato in my clam chowder, and that might be the wrong thing really, but that's how I like it. I think it's better that way. Clams are supposed to be the hero of the show, so we don't want any huge potatoes in it. right, let me just give these a quick rinse. Let's peek in on that bacon right quick too. All right, let's see. All right, before we do the potatoes, I'm actually going to chop up my celery. And in this, I use about three stalks of celery. So I'm just gonna trim these and then wash them. And chop them up pretty fine. Okay, that bacon just needs another minute or so, not much at all. So we're gonna get this celery done. Okay, the bacon should be ready, so let's get that. I'm just gonna put that onto a paper plate with a slotted spoon because we're gonna need the grease, all the bacon grease. Hope you can see this, that's perfect. You can leave just as much of that, the bacon drippings, as you can. That is what makes it, or that's part of what makes it really good. So we got our nice crispy bacon. So to the bacon grease, we're gonna add the celery and the onion that we chopped. And also take 2 tablespoons of butter and just add that in with it, because bacon grease just isn't enough on its own. All right, so we're gonna let that go a little bit. I'm gonna turn your heat down to about medium at this point. Okay, so you just want to cook that until your onions are translucent and a little bit soft. Okay, so while that is cooking, let's go ahead and dice up our russet potatoes. hopefully you can see this, but this is about how small I like for my potatoes to be in the clam chowder. Okay, so I got a paper plate just to keep the potatoes on. So I have room on my cutting board for the other potatoes. Okay, let's go check on our onions and celery. Those are looking good. Not quite there yet. I think we can probably go ahead and add in the garlic though. Let's see. So I'm gonna add in maybe if I can get this open. Oh, there we go. I'm gonna add in about a half tablespoon of garlic to this. The garlic's just one of those very personal issues. You can put however much you want to put in there. So I put about a half a tablespoon. Okay, so plus we're going to put in about a half teaspoon to 3/4 of a teaspoon of dried thyme. The thyme adds such a yummy, like, depth of flavor to it. Don't skip it. Ooh, it smells delicious. We're gonna let those veggies cook for just a few more minutes. Couple more minutes. We're almost there. So when that's just about ready, you're gonna add 3 heaping tablespoons of all-purpose flour to that, and then you're gonna stir it. So here's my flour going in. I've got 1, 2, 3. We're just going to stir that in and incorporate it. And this is going to cover up your veggies and get kind of gooey and mushy looking. That's the timer for the bread. So let's pause. I'm going to bring you over and show you what this looks like. Okay, see? Got the flour mixed in, and it's just looks kind of like a clumpy mess. That's how it's supposed to look though. Okay? So we're going to let that cook on medium to medium low heat for just a couple of minutes. Make sure you get that floury taste out. And I'm going to take the bread dough out of the microwave. Okay, now that your flour has browned just very lightly, you can see it's a little bit brown in there. You're going to add 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of chicken stock. You could also use veggie stock if you want to. Doesn't matter. I always just use chicken. It's what I like. Okay, we're gonna add also 1 cup of half and half. And then 1 jar of clam juice. Okay, so you just want to whisk this up. As it's heating, it's just going to start to thicken. So we're going to increase the temperature just a bit here. We're going to go medium, medium, high. There we go. Okay, while this is getting hot, you're going to bring this to a boil, and you just want to come back and whisk it every few minutes. Not every few minutes, every few seconds probably. Okay, so you want to just continue to whisk that pretty frequently until it comes to a boil. Once it starts boiling, you're going to add in your russet potatoes that we chopped up just a bit ago. Okay, so you can see it's starting to get pretty warm. Starting to get a little thicker, even though it hasn't started boiling yet. So that is a good sign. We're just going to continue to let this heat up. Okay, this is just starting to come up to a boil. You can see how nice and thick it is and yummy looking. So now what we want to do is add in all of our diced potatoes. Okay, we're gonna give that a stir, and then you're gonna reduce the heat so that it just simmers, and we're gonna simmer it for about 15 minutes or until, just make sure your potatoes are nice and tender. That's about how long you gotta do that for. Okay, so let's turn our heat down. We'll start there. We may need to turn it down some more depending on how it does, but we'll start there. So now is the perfect time to check on our bread. Okay, here it is out of the microwave, and it has definitely at least doubled in size. So now what we're gonna do is punch it down and divide it. Okay, so I went ahead and lined my baking sheet with some parchment paper so it won't stick. And I'm just going to very lightly, don't need a celery leaf in there, very lightly flour my countertop. And then we're gonna punch down the dough, and it's exactly how it sounds. You just kind of punch it down, and then we're gonna pull it out onto the surface there. I'm gonna kind of roll it into a ball. We're gonna split this into two. Let's see. Looks even. That looks pretty even. And we're gonna put that on our baking sheet. Let's get this one rolled up. Oh. Okay, so got the loaves formed. So what we're gonna do is cover this back up, and we're gonna put this on the oven over here where it's warm, and we're gonna let it rise again till it's doubled in size. Okay, the potatoes are perfectly tender. So now all we need to add to this is the star of the show, which is our clams. So you're gonna put 2 6.5 ounce cans of chopped clams in, juice and all. Get in there. Okay, and also you're gonna go ahead and salt and pepper. And this is just to taste, and I tasted it a little bit ago, so I can kind of tell. I'm gonna put probably about a teaspoon of each in there. Okay, so let's give that a stir, and we're gonna let this just heat up the clams. You don't wanna like boil it for a long time or anything, just long enough to heat those clams up. And we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I have preheated the oven to 375 degrees in preparation to put the bread in. Another step to this, you do not want to skip this step. Put your Dutch oven or some other oven-proof pot in the oven with a few cups of water in there, and let it be heating up with the oven. And that's gonna go directly under the rack where you put your bread loaves, okay? And that's gonna help your crust just turn out very nice. Okay, so the bread dough is done rising. So what we need to do now is to take 1 egg and about a tablespoon of water. And we'll whisk those together. Okay, and now you're just gonna brush your loaves, both the loaves, with that egg mixture. the last step before you put it in the oven, you're gonna take a very sharp knife and just slice, not all the way through, but put a good line right down the middle of your bread. There you go. And then this needs to go in the oven for about 30 minutes. You'll know it's done when it's nicely brown and it has like a hollow sound when you thump it or tap on it, okay? Okay, our bread should be just about ready. It smells heavenly in here, so must be ready. So let's check on it. Okay, that looks just about right. I'm gonna tap on it and see if it sounds right. Can you hear that? Should give a nice hollow sound. So I'm gonna take this one and put it on the cutting board. You're probably supposed to let this rest, but yeah, whatever. If you do it while it's hot, you can put butter on it, it'll melt. Okay, moment of truth. Whew, that looks good. That's perfect. Okay, so let's get the soup out and I'm gonna plate it up for you and we'll try it. Okay, here we have it, guys. But we have, let's not forget one very important step. Remember that bacon that we fried up at the very beginning? That's right. Now this is what you do with that. Yep. Okay, y'all, this is so good. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you try it. Anyway, happy Super Sunday. Bye.